Have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little. We're not. Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. Going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also. We're going to have some incredible events, some professional events, some amateur events. But the UFC fight's going to be a big deal too.
Yo, just wanted to wish you all a very happy, proud 4th of July. Hope you guys were safe this year and that no one lost any fingers.
Breaking fight bombshell: Trump just declared the White House will host a UFC event. And guess who might headline it? Jon Jones has shocked the fight world, pulling a wild U-turn, saying his retirement wasn't real and he's coming back to fight. Is this the return of the GOAT? Is a showdown with Tom Aspinall or even Gnu back on the table? And how does this shake the fight world with names like
tired for 2 weeks, maybe less than that? That gets a bit blurry depending on what the timeline is. But according to Twitter, apparently, according to Twitter, his Twitter, not general hearsay, Jon Jones has unretired. That is
strap, and this is about to get asterisk in Santa. Jon Jones just dropped a subtle bombshell. He quietly re-entered the USADA testing pool for a brief 2-week stretch, but said nothing about Tom Aspinall. No call-outs, no confirmations, just silence. And that silence speaks volumes. Fans expected fireworks, a name drop, maybe even a digital stare down, but instead, we got mystery. Was it a test run for a full-blown comeback? Or just another mind game from the most enigmatic champion in UFC history? Let's not forget this is
Trump talking about a fight at the White House.
We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this on the grounds of the White House.
Yeah, okay, maybe that's it. I don't think it is that. I do think that he would want to fight at the White House. I'm sure that every single fighter is going to want to do that. A lot of them are raising their hands. Conor McGregor's put his hand up. Michael Chandler's interested. Sean Strickland's definitely going to want to be there. Mr. 1776 himself.
That's like a gun store.
Yeah, then go again. So I picked this. That's the Seagull I showed you last night. I picked this.
And Jon Jones, of course, him versus Tom Aspinall, England versus USA, 1776, all over again at the White House. Unbelievable. Of course, that should.
Jon Jones, we're talking about the youngest champ in UFC history, a legacy built on domination, controversy, and greatness all rolled into one. And now, with a return to the testing pool, even briefly, the fight world is buzzing. Who gets the call if Jones returns? Will Aspinall finally get his shot? Or will the chessboard shift? Again, things clear when Jon Jones moves. The entire sport watches, and this move, it just flipped the heavyweight division on its head. The greatest of all time isn't
Happy, proud 4th of July. Hope you guys were safe this year and that no one lost any fingers or anything like that. Dutch. Lay down. That's a good boy. USA.
just easing. A return he's calling for a stage worthy of legends. Jon Bones Jones has now thrown down the gauntlet, saying he wants to fight at the UFC's rumored mega show at the White House. You heard that right. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue could become the backdrop for a legacy-defining war. This isn't
any American champions right now other than Jon Jones. Well, Jon Jones is retired. Tom Aspinall is the undisputed champion. And Tom Aspinall, to be honest, is absolutely sick of all this shit. And he's just happy that everything has now moved on. Tom Aspinall has a new opponent and a location. Apparently, it's going to get announced soon.
Like, the guy I'm fighting next is the most dangerous guy that I'm ever going to have to fight.
Got to think that's Cyril Gane. God knows where it's going to be. More than likely, Las Vegas, somewhere in America anyway. It ain't going to be in France. It ain't going to be in the UK. Tom's last pay-per-view was in the UK in the middle of the night. It's going to be in America on prime time. That's for damn sure.
just about a comeback. This is about cementing greatness. Jones isn't chasing paychecks, he's chasing immortality. After years of dominance, controversy, and unmatched skill inside the octagon, this move is the clearest signal yet. Bones wants to crown the moment that echoes through fight history, a fight at the White House.
Very much support John Jones and still look at his legacy as the person that was one of the greatest to ever do it. That's without a shadow of a doubt. That beat generations of champions. But there's a lot of people that are talking shit. I don't think it's people talking shit online that's going to influence him to come out of retirement in 2 weeks. I think maybe he went out to Thailand, he was enjoying himself, he got carried away with things, and maybe some people were in his ear. I don't know. I wasn't there. Maybe people were saying, listen, you don't need this anymore. You've been there, done it. You've got the t-shirt. And he's out there and he's in Thailand and he's just having the time of his life. And he's like, you know what? I don't need this. Because the reality...
That's not just spectacle, it's symbolism. And if John Jones steps into that cage, it won't just be for a win. It'll be to seal his name among the gods of combat sports. Legacy is calling, and Bones might just be ready to answer. On July 4th, America's Fight Night of Spirit, John Bones Jones lit up social media with a bold, patriotic message.
Leaving a lot of money on the table. And of course, maybe now because John has got a new opponent, right? There's going to be more footage on him. There's going to be more tape to study. There's going to be a potential for Tom to get beat, for him to have more miles on the clock, and he can come out and fight the winner. And potentially that be at the White House. I think it'd be very short-sighted if it was just him fighting at the White House. I don't think that's enough. Given how he speaks about his career and how much he treasures it, I don't think a location, all jokes aside, I don't think a location like the White House or anywhere on planet Earth is going to be enough to influence
that had fans buzzing coast to coast. But beneath the stars and stripes, there was something more telling. Something fight fans couldn't ignore. Jones revealed he's back in the UFC's drug testing pool, a quiet but powerful signal that the former heavyweight king is eyeing a comeback. No smoke, no mirrors, just the kind of move a champ.
I think it's him just kind of realizing and coming back and being around his team and thinking, you know what? I've still got something to give. I've still got something to prove to the world. I've still got to show Tom Aspinall that I can beat him. And he's not just going to show Tom, he's going to show the entire MMA community, fan base, UFC, MMA, fight fans all over the world. Because it does look like you walked away and ducked.
Champion makes when he's preparing for war. This isn't just a tweet, it's a spark, a warning shot to the division. When a fighter of John Jones' caliber moves even an inch, the entire fight game shifts. His resume speaks for itself. Youngest UFC champion, unbeaten in over a decade. A man whose name is etched into the DNA of the sport. And now on the most American day of the year, he's hinted
the first true test at heavyweight. Somebody with well-rounded skills, with knockout power, that is younger, that is bigger, that is faster, that is agile, that can wrestle and knows jiu-jitsu, that can do it all. The first time you came up against somebody like that, you walked away from the sport. That's not a good look. And maybe that is what has been eating away at him inside ever since he told the UFC, I'm going to walk away. Now, it is a quick U-turn. This must be one of the shortest retirements in the history of the UFC, okay? Or in all combat sports. 2 weeks? 2 weeks ago, he retired.
At one last run, one more shot at glory. One more chapter in the saga of a fighter who redefined greatness. Stay sharp. Fight fans. The GOAT might be coming home. According to the official UFC anti-doping program records, John Jones has already been tested twice in 2025, adding to the 5 tests in 2024, and a staggering in 2023. These aren't just numbers, they're
that are talking. The leftist media, they're all out there going, oh my God, this is crazy. They've gone full idiocracy. Look, listen, it's a bit of fun. It's a great sport. Donald Trump loves it, and he's loved the UFC for years. And I'll tell you what, if they put on a UFC event at the White House, I want to be there. If I was competing, I would have loved to compete at the White House. I'm very lucky I fought all over the world on almost every single continent to fight at the
breadcrumbs on the trail of a comeback. By re-entering the testing pool, Jones positions himself for a faster return to the octagon if he decides to throw his name back into the fire. But while Bones moves in silence, Tom Aspinall is charging forward with noise and purpose. The interim heavyweight champ isn't waiting on legends, he's demanding.
Dana White, they have a very close friendship.
Dana White, who has done some
Back in the early days, when the UFC was kind of struggling to get into arenas and venues and struggling to get cable TV deals and stuff like that, Donald Trump was a big supporter. He would allow the UFC events to take place at the Trump Taj Mahal. I think that was in Atlantic City, UFC 30. Okay, so it goes back a very long way. And Trump loves it. As we know, he's at a lot of the UFC events now, and he's there, he's watching the prelims, he's watching the main cards, he can break down the fights, and when he walks into the building, I am telling you, the place goes mental. How are you going to do that? Madison Square Garden only holds 20,000 people. Listen, if they've got the land, they've got the money, they've got the know-how, they've got the resources, they've got the fighters. If anyone can do it, it's Donald Trump and Dana White. So bet your bottom dollar.
Ending fights, ready to defend, and hungry for war. No politics, no guessing games, just a warrior's mindset. He's he's healthy, and he's calling for names. The UFC is expected to announce Tom's next opponent, ND*, the fight location any day now. Will it be a rising contender, a returning icon? Or could we finally see the collision course between the new blood and the old king on things? Certain legacy is on the line, and the heavyweight division
X is the most dangerous guy that I'm ever going to have to fight.
You gotta think that that's Cyril Gane, okay? It's gotta be Cyril Gane. Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. Can you imagine Cyril Gane gets beaten by Tom, but he makes him work for it? Let's say it goes to the 3rd, 4th, 5th round, even if it goes to a decision, okay? That's going to have John Jones thinking, hold on a minute, I can beat this guy. And if there's one fight, and if there's one location that John Jones would come out of retirement for, we might just get to see the greatest heavyweight fight of all time, if Tom
is heating up like never before. Stay locked in. The next chapter is about to be written. John Jones doesn't need asterisk to fight anymore. Not for the money, not for the fame, not even for the legacy, because that part's already sealed. He's a global icon, a combat sports legend, and a man who's done it all inside the octagon, title after title, record after record, and now, he's living life on his terms. But here's the thing about true fighters, they're not driven by comfort. They're driven by the need to prove, once more, that they're still the best to ever do it. And for John Bones Jones, that fire might still be burning.
Fight that has been about 3 or 4 years in the making. Of course, they recorded The Ultimate Fighter. The fight never took place. There was a bunch of injuries. There was broken toes. My foot was a balloon. There was a bunch of rumors. There were all kinds of going on, right? But I'll tell you what, if there is a spot, if there is a place, it's the White House. Conor McGregor's no stranger to the White House. He's already been out there. He said he's going to run to be the Prime Minister or the President of Ireland. He spoke to the world's media at the White House. So he's very familiar with this place. And of course, he would love to insert himself to this legendary historic event, and of course taking on Michael Chandler, who was just destroyed by Paddy Pimblett. If Conor could come back, and that's a big if he could come back, the White House wouldn't be a bad place to do it. He's already been there, and I think he would.
He doesn't owe the fight game anything. Yet the fact that he's even considering another walk to the cage, that sends shockwaves. Because if he returns, it won't be for a paycheck. It'll be for greatness. One last statement. One final masterpiece to remind the world exactly who he is. John Jones doesn't need the fight. But maybe, just maybe, the fight still needs John Jones.
There's not too many Americans in the top 5. Okay, I'm looking at the rankings right here. So when you look at the lightweight division, Pantoja's the champ, Joshua Van, Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, Amir Albazi and Kai Kara France. Merab Dvalishvili in bantamweight. You've got Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley, he could be on there maybe versus Corey Sandhagen. That could be the first fight of the night on the main card on the pay-per-view. Perhaps Sean O'Malley taking on Corey Sandhagen, an all-American affair, the Civil War. Okay, but outside of that, you've got Merab, you've got Umar, you've got Piotr Yan, you've got Song Yadong. Okay, featherweight, we got Australian Volkanovski, Max Holloway. He's American. We've got Movsar Evloev, Diego Lopez, and Yair Rodriguez. And we've got a Brit as well, Arnold Allen. And it's like that if you go through all the rankings, if you go through all the weight divisions, Ilia Topuria, Islam Makhachev, Arman Sarukian, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje. He's number 5.
Jones died at 36 years old. John Jones has already done what most fighters can only dream of. He captured the UFC light heavyweight title at just 2-3, becoming the youngest champion in history and racked up dominant victories over legends like Daniel Cormier, Lyoto Machida, Rampage Jackson, and Shogun Rua. And when critics said he'd never rule heavyweight, he shut them down cold, finishing Cyril Gane in under 3 minutes to claim the crown. His resume untouchable, His legacy, largely undisputed. Too many. Jon Jones asterisk is asterisk the greatest mixed martial artist of all time, a walking Hall of Famer, a force of nature with fight IQ and instinct.